last thing that, these are the very blessed 10 days of, Dhul Hijjah. And we also talk about the history of Kaaba itself, when how it happened. So I will do some revision of what we discussed earlier, that Kaaba was built by Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. And even before the Adam alayhi salam had come to this world, where Makkah is now, there used to be a place of worship around which, angels used to do the tawaf. And when Adam alayhi salam came, so he saw that place of worship, where is now Makkah, and it was there. And his son, Shish alayhi salam, also knew about this place and all that. But because of great flood, that house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was destroyed. And that was rebuilt by Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. And Ismail alayhi salam became the first custodian or mutawalli of that Kaaba. And Ismail alayhi salam, mashallah, had 12 children. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a lot of abundance to the children of Ismail alayhi salam. And that spread all across the Arabian Peninsula. But what happened after Ismail alayhi salam, his father-in-law, he became the custodian, and after that, it remained in Aulad Ismail, or the children of Ismail alayhi salam, until there was one person named Umrul Lahmi. He reverted from Deen Ibrahim, the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, of monotheism, and he became the idol worshipper. And after that, idol worshipping started in around Makkah, and the religion, the rites that were set up by Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, he was the one who taught them. So they were all became abandoned, and the concept of Hajj became just going around the tawaf around Kaaba. They used to clap and they used to, do the thing. And because infighting happened when the barakat of Deen Ibrahim went, so the infighting started and the tribal fighting started. And one group of people, what they did, they covered up the well of Zamzam and they ran away to the south. So this why, the well of Zamzam became matruk, because nobody knew what this Zamzam well was, until the grandfather of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, he saw a dream in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to go where the well of Zamzam is, to go and dig there. So he went and dig. And everybody objected. There are so many wells. Why are you digging here? So he said, no, I want to find a well. So he dig there. And at that time, he had only one son. His name was Haris. Haris was the oldest son, or the oldest Taya of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, oldest uncle of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And with his help, he dug the well. And that's how the Zamzam well came back. And people started knowing. So the well that had started by Ismail alayhi salam tapping his feet, his heel into the ground, that was rediscovered by Abdul Muttalib. And Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, when he established that, rediscovered that well, to this day it is being used. And a lot of Hajis, they use that water, but it is miraculous. Is one of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all the rites of Hajj, they are associated with Ibrahim alayhi salam, with Ismail alayhi salam, with Bibi Hajra. So this Safa or Marwa, these are the rites that were set up by Bibi Hajra, or Hajar as they call it, the Westerner people. In the search of water, she went back and forth between Safa and Marwa 7 times. So this is the Hajis, they mark this day to this day. This is the thing there. And the green light you see, it is, and then now it is all one corridor, but in the olden days, there used to be 2 peaks of Safa and Marwa. So when she would descend, she would not be able to see Ismail alayhi salam, so she would run a little faster, and then she will go again, mount on Marwa, so she could see Ismail alayhi salam, so she would relax. So after doing the seventh thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spout a well where Ismail alayhi salam had put his heel. Now, after rediscovering it, just 55 days before the another incident, interesting incident is, as I said, when he was digging the hole, the well of Zamzam. So Abdul Muttalib, he said that I wish I had more sons because I only have one son, Haris. So he said, I wish I would have 10 sons. So what I will do sacrifice one son for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him 10 sons. So when they all grew up, so he remembered his mannat that, when I was digging the Zamzam well, I had made a niyat, a mannat that, I will sacrifice. So he went to the priest of Kaaba. He was the chief of the Quraysh and he was a custodian of Kaaba, but the priest was a different person. So he said that I had made a mannat. So these are the names of my 10 sons. So, you draw and pick up. So names of all his 10 sons were put in that. That's how they used to draw it. They will put it in the quiver of an arrow. They will put all the 10 names, and the priest blindfoldedly will randomly pick up one name. So he picked up the name, and father of Nabi Sallallahu Abdullah came out. So he said, this is Abdullah. So what he did, Abdul Muttalib, he grabbed a knife and said that, okay, I will fulfill my mannat and sacrifice Abdullah. So everybody stopped him. They said, don't do that. What you should do is draw it a little differently. What you should do, draw a sheet. On one side, you write the name of Abdullah, and on the other side, you write 10 camels. So whichever side is picked up, you will do that. If Abdullah's side came up, you sacrifice Abdullah, and 10 camels, you sacrifice 10 camels. So the priest picked up blindfolded the draw, and the name of Hazrat Abdullah came up. So he again said, okay, I will sacrifice it. So they said, no, everybody never did not let Abdul Muttalib do that. They said, now change it to 20 camels. So from 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So when the camel amount increased to 100, so 100 camel name came instead of Hazrat Abdullah. So Hazrat Abdul Muttalib sacrificed 100 camels and feed the meat to all the people of Makkah. So that's why Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to say, I'm son of two Zabihan. Who are the two Zabihans? His own father Abdullah and his great grandfather Ismail alayhi salam. So the rites we see, the Qurbani, this is or the sacrifice, it is the rite that is associated with Ismail alayhi salam, that Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam was very old. According to some of the legend, he was 84 years old and he was childless. At age 84, Ismail alayhi salam was born. So he had given up all his hope for a son or any children to begin with. So when Ismail alayhi salam was born, so he loved him dearly, because after 84 years of age, he was born. So he loved him dearly. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to test him. He had tested him before, that he was thrown into fire by Namrud. But even then he never complained. So he was, but now when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell him to go make a journey and abandon his wife Bibi Hajra and Ismail alayhi salam into the wilderness of Makkah. And this is something that even he had to find courage. He was an obedient servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bow his head to every command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even his beloved son, he was told to abandon in the middle of nowhere. He did that. He abandoned his wife and kid. That was more dear. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only let him survive, but gave them his wife and his son the providence, not only to survive there, but to thrive there. even the other tribes, they were passing, they saw water there, so they camped there. And Ismail alayhi salam, when he grew up, so Bibi Hajra made Ismail alayhi salam marry into the same tribe. And when he grew up, Ismail alayhi salam, he was abandoned as a baby there, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had provided them for him. So Ibrahim alayhi salam was tested again. He was told to sacrifice his son. So, but again, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, told, he was being thrown into fire of Namrud, he bowed his head. He was told to abandon his wife and children in Mecca. He bowed his head to the submission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now he was told to sacrifice his son for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he loved his son dearly, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested him. And he did not, so he took his son, Ismail alayhi salam, and he went and told him to lie down. And just to find courage, he blindfolded himself and grabbed a knife and wanted to, sacrifice Ismail alayhi salam for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when angels saw that, they started crying, and they did not realize what was happening. And when Ismail alayhi salam was being slaughtered, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaced that with a lamb, and that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them. Not only saved Ismail alayhi salam, he fulfilled his test. To this day, millions of people, they sacrifice a lamb and did the sunnah or the footstep of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. So when Ibrahim alayhi salam was taking Ismail alayhi salam to sacrifice him, Shaitan came to misguide him and says that don't do that. Why would you sacrifice your own son? So when Shaitan tried to, convince him, he grabbed 7 pebbles and throw it at the Shaitan. So this is a tradition we still follow, that we go and where the Rajam is, so we go and throw, pebbles at the Shaitan. So what are takbirat? Takbirat is when he was about to sacrifice Ismail alayhi salam. So just to find courage, he started chanting takbirat. That and this is the one we also do that when we say Bismillah Allahu Akbar. So this chanting is also the sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, just to find the courage that Allah is great. He started chanting the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and did not hesitate from sacrificing Ismail alayhi salam. And even the angels started chanting the glory of God and takbirat. So this is the tradition we follow. So Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in his lifetime, when he was in Makkah, there were about 360 idols, because as I said, Umar al-Hani started the idol worshipping in Kaaba, and by the time Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there were about 360 idols in and around Kaaba. And where his grandfather, Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, dug to discover, there was a idol of female called Naila that was there. But inside the Kaaba, there were 2 statues or idols of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. And as I said, they used to draw for yes and no, just like, so there was a priest who had the key for the Kaaba. They will open the door and they will go inside and they will say, if somebody wants to start a war, yes or no, somebody want to do the prayer. So they will tell the priest that, draw something. So there was a quiver of arrows there, and it was in the idol of Ismail alayhi salam or Ibrahim alayhi salam. So priest will attach 2, 2 of the things, draw paper around the arrow and put it in the quiver. And there were 2 different arrows. So one would say yes and one would say no. So he would say, okay, tell the people that, you want to do the business deal, pick up 1 arrow. So when he pick up 1 arrow, it says yes. So he will go ahead and do the business deal. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he would perform Hajj. Although there were idols, but he would perform some, he never, he performed Hajj or some of the rites of that. And one of the another honor Nabi Muhammad was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he reached age 35. There was a big flood that destroyed the building of Kaaba, and the Kaaba was rebuilt. When the Kaaba was rebuilt, so everybody, pitch in the money. And when there was a very rich person, his name was Walid bin Mughira. He was so rich that he was able to pitch in 1/3 of the total cost of rebuilt Kaaba, and another money was pitched in by all the other. Just 5 minutes. So they were able. So that was the father of Khalid bin Walid bin Mughira. So he was able to do that. But after all the Kaaba was rebuilt, now the issues started that after all the construction, who will put back the Hajr Aswad into that? So all the tribes, Banu Makhzum, Banu Umayyah, Banu Hashim, all of them, they realized that no, it should be our honor. It should be our honor. Banu Jumma, everybody came and said that we will be. So everybody draw their sword that, if we didn't get that honor, we will fight. So they wanted to avoid the fight. So what they say, this what we should do, that at such and such a day, anybody who comes in the first from the door of Kaaba, we will accept him as a judge to resolve our issue, who will put in the black stone into the Kaaba. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the first person to send in Kaaba was Nabi Sallallahu. Everybody already called him Sadiq and Amin. They say, oh, we will accept him as our judge or a mediator. So they ask everybody that, this is an issue. We are the brink of war, that everybody wants to have the honor of putting back the black stone into the building of Kaaba. So advise us what we should do. So Nabi Muhammad say that, okay, bring me a big sheet of cloth. And when it was, so say all the tribe chieftains should grab one portion of the sheet of cloth and put the Hajr Aswad or the black stone into it. And he says, bring it to where it has to be installed. So all the chieftains, they grabbed that sheet and they took the Hajr Aswad all the way to where it was. And Nabi Sallallahu with his blessed hand, he put back Hajr Aswad back into where it should have been fixed. So that's how you resolve it. Now coming back to how many Hajj he performed. He performed one Hajj and several Umrahs. When he moved to Medina, so right after the battle of Ahzab, 6 months after that, he marched with his Sahaba Ikram to Makkah, and he gave a message to Quraysh that we are coming in peace just to perform the Hajj or the Umrah. So Quraysh stopped that, but they were tired of wars themselves. So that's how the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was reached, and they say you will not be able to perform the Hajj this year, but you can come next year. So Nabi Sallallahu performed all the rites, like he did shave the head and sacrifice and qurban, but he did not come. So next year he came, and it was called Umratul Aza, in which he did enter, and according to condition, he stayed in 3 days, performed all the rites in the Makkah. And after the conquest of Makkah, he performed Umrah, but he never performed the Hajj. Hajj is the one because why? The Quraysh used to perform the Hajj in Dhul Hijjah, but they would change the dates. Sometimes they will they will sight the moons, but in 10, sometimes 11, sometimes 14, and all that. So when Nabi Muhammad performed the Hajjatul Wida, naturally the moon cycle has changed, and it became on the 10th of the Dhul Hijjah. So that's when he performed the Hajjatul Wida, and he sacrificed his blessed life in this world. He was 63 years, and he stayed the sacrifice. He sacrificed 63 camels on that day, and he would perform, and he says, from me and my ummah. And that's how he would sacrifice it. So this is my grandfather, Maulana Abdul Qadir Siddiqui Sahab. He would follow the same thing, that if there was, he could only sacrifice one lamb or one animal. So he says that I'm from the ummah of Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so we'll sacrifice one. So people say, okay, it is from me and from my wife, my children, my son-in-law, and all that. He would say that I'm from the. So he will sacrifice, if he could afford only one animal. He says, from me and my from Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his ummah. So inshallah we'll stop there, and inshallah Allah. So these are the